What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome back to The Casual Nerd. Today, I am greeted by none other than Stella, Susie, the Sphere Hunter. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Stella in a few universes. I'm doing pretty good. I just woke up. Well, yesterday I had a few business calls, and then I caught up with a friend on the phone. So I was basically speaking all day yesterday, so my voice is very it's very vocally fried right now. So hopefully I survive.
I think you will. I think you will. You know, it's interesting because like all of the meetings and everything, they pile up, and then you just realize you're just like, words don't come out.
Yeah, and then you have to like actually take a few days off, like a week off, you know. So
yeah, content creation, take a few days off. What is this word?
Yeah, I feel like I have never had a vacation in my life, like ever. So
yeah, no, it's so weird because it's like when I got into doing this, I never realized like how it's like, oh wait, people actually take breaks and do other stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's like I feel like I've never consciously had a vacation, but I've found myself in vacation states before. Like I'm just like, oh, my existence like forced me into this because it was too much, you know, like that kind of thing. Like I just had one. I was at a convention. I did all this stuff like for a couple of days, and then I was like, oh, I haven't been working on this next video I've been making. Wow, that's crazy.
How was the convention, by the way?
It was great. I went to Anime Las Vegas, and it was like one of the most fun conventions I've ever been to, because it was like there were a lot of activities and it was just cute. Like it wasn't like a massive like anime expo, but it was like it was decently sized, and I just had a lot of fun. I always get swamped when I go to conventions, so I was like, let me try not saying I'm here until I'm here, you know, like,
yeah,
because if I say it like a couple of days before, people are gonna get ready for me, you know. But I didn't, and I still got swamped. So
oh gosh. But that's always interesting though, because it's like you prepare for a convention, which those things take months and months to prepare for and to be able to actually go to them and everything. And I feel like once you're there, like once you tweet out the word, hey guys, I'm here, and just one person right behind you will be like, hi.
Yeah, that's literally what happened. Like I walked through the front door. I was like, oh yeah, let me do it now. I made my tweet, and then somebody came up to me and was like, are you the Sphere Hunter? I want to take a picture with a local celebrity. And I was like, oh God. Oh no.
That's so cute.
Yeah, so yeah, it was really cute. But yeah, it was fun. I had a little vacation all to myself, you know. So.
And that's so needed because like not only like with the work that you do with your videos and everything, but a lot of the stuff that you do with voice acting, with being Stella in Cyberpunk 2077, doing the mocap for that, like a lot of that stuff takes so much time, and a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into that. So yeah, well-deserved, necessary break.
Thank you. Yeah, and there are a lot of video games that I'm working on right now, like voice wise. So I'm like, you know, it got to a point where, you know, because I feel maybe I'm jumping ahead of it a little bit, but like in your questions, but like I feel like at a certain point I'm like, holy shit, I actually have to get back to making videos, because that's my main source of income. like this game is not going to come out for like 5 years, so like I need to do stuff with my life. Yeah, it's just like stress on top of stress. Like it's just like work. That's what it feels like.
And that's the thing too, of where like when you get into content creation, you don't necessarily realize like when you're at a certain point, like when you're at like 100 subscribers, or when you're just like a little baby content creator, you're just like, oh, I can just cover anything I want and do anything. And then when companies start actually like reaching out to you, it's like there's a deadline for this.
Yeah, for sure. And that is I feel like that's such a new thing too, because, well, new for me, because I, for the longest time, didn't do sponsorships or you know, things like that. I've done a couple, you know, in my videos, and I've done like a few streams here and there. But yeah, like, so for a long time for me, it was just like, I want to talk about whatever, you know, I'll talk about anything. And the future was so like bright, you know, but now that I've like established myself, I'm kind of like, okay, I need to sort of stay in this like wheelhouse. I feel like I can't go too far out. Like I could go far, but I can't go too far, you know, like I'm not going to start vlogging, you know, like that kind of thing.
That's the thing of where like, I feel like, and this isn't, you know, like to kiss your ass or anything like that, because, you know, I mean this genuinely, whatever you post, people are going to watch because you genuinely bring a good perspective whenever you talk about things.
Thank you.
Like, I mean, it's so interesting to me because the first time I saw your content was with the Evil Within video that you did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, okay, this is one of my favorite games, but I can respect her perspective on it because not too many people are discussing this from an honest point of view. And by osmosis, that kind of made me a little more honest in my reviews with how I felt, because people want honesty when it comes to reviews and how things are, like how the perspective is generally. So whenever I saw your point of view on it, I was like, the comment section are just filled with people like, okay, well, they obviously didn't listen to the entire review or else they wouldn't be saying that, you know? But it's also filled with people who think that, okay, this is different, like fully different perspective I would have never thought of before.
Yeah, Evil Within was interesting because spoilers for the second game. I love the second game. I think it's like a 9 out of 10 game. And I was disappointed by the first game, but there's definitely, you know, it has its merits. It's interesting. Like, I like this topic that you bring up of like honesty, because I feel like I've always tried to be honest with my videos. And I feel like, you know, maybe some people don't believe that, you know, because I'm usually pretty positive about most things. I'm not too difficult to please, you know, like like certain things are just fun for me, you know. But that was a difficult video to make just because I was like, how brutal do I want to get with certain like talking points, how honest do I want to get? And I think I just wore my heart on my sleeve, you know, with that video. And I enjoy doing that. I enjoy being real as possible. We were talking before we started recording, but like we're both from New York, you know. I'm from New York, born and raised in Brooklyn, and it's really difficult to not be honest, you know, not be real.
Bloods, yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, I was born in New Jersey, but like that's like I was most of my time basically. Listen, no one wants to admit that, but it really is the same thing.
It kind of is, yeah.
Like, I was just an hour away from the Holland Tunnel, and when you go in there, it's just a completely, like, it's the same thing, but different world because you have better food.
Yeah.
You know? So, but it's so interesting to me that you bring that up because, like, with honesty, I feel like the first time I was ever, like, truly, like, wearing my emotions on my sleeve with a review was with Fallout 3. Because I was like, I really hated that game. I did not like it whatsoever. I had supposed to review, and there was racism in it. There was phobias of every kind. And I was like, okay, let me try to approach this in a way that people are going to somewhat accept it. It was the first time I almost got doxxed on YouTube.
Really?
Yes. Because because of the opinion that I shared. And for those of you who are watching who are interested in what I had to say for Fallout 3, there will be a linked video at the end of this podcast so you guys can check it out. But yeah, it got to a point of where like I couldn't open my DMs for a month.
Yeah. I would highly recommend turning off DMs. Just on everything. Yeah. Because oh my god.
The amount of entitlement people get whenever it comes to their like quote unquote favorite content creator or someone who they just watch on a regular basis, it's insane to me.
It's insane. Yeah. Like I have countless emails and Instagram DMs that are just, you know, exactly that, like just demanding things of me, saying horrible things to me or about me. And it just kind of like in the beginning I was really annoyed and like upset by it, but now I feel like I kind of am doing the right thing, you know, if I'm getting these kinds of messages, you know. It means
unfortunately
so but I try to look at the silver lining of it. It's like, okay, if this is all coming to me, like that means I'm I'm out there, you know, I'm actually achieving the goal of like, you know, kind of getting my voice out there. So I try to take the positive out of everything. I try, at least, you know. So.
It's so weird. I wish I do that with certain things, because anytime I get like a horrible email or DM or something, it's just like I sulk for like a good hour, and then it's just like it's time to record again. You know?
Yeah, sometimes it's unavoidable. Like I still get that way about certain things, you know, like certain videos that I made like in the past about, you know, like there's one like Resident Evil 3 remake.
Oh yeah.
Because that was a game where I got it like a day or two before the review embargo or whatever, and around that time I was still trying to be like kind of like a serious game reviewer, you know, like, oh, I want to, like, I have this kind of like dark horror spooky niche on YouTube, but I want to like be at the forefront of it, and I want to get like all of my takes out there, like, you know, and have kind of like a definitive take. And that game was like, oh, I have it like 2 days before release, and I need to beat it while recording it, and also write a whole script, and then voice it, and then edit it. And it was like, okay, I beat the game once. Time to make this video. Little did I know that, like, you know, the game is like, because like, you know, it's really short. It's a short game, right? And it cut out a lot of the original game's content. Unfortunately. And for me, I was like, okay, well, I beat it, and it was pretty short, but maybe there's more to it. Like, maybe there's more stuff in this game on a second playthrough, you know, like maybe I didn't go a certain way or do a certain thing in a certain order to unlock like a new path or something, which is like, you know, the norm for those kinds of games, you know, but that wasn't the case, you know. And so I made a really quick review on it, and I wasn't fully equipped to really talk about the game, I feel, you know. I would have. And then I released another video that was like a month later, when like a lot of dust had settled and I was able to kind of like really think about it. But people, you know, when I get hate mail, people bring that up all the time. Like, oh, you're a shill because of this. Like, you gave this game a good review. And that, you know, I sulk for an hour about that. And then I'm like, okay, well, fuck it. Like, I got to get back to work, you know, like that. So like, even I still feel that, you know, and like,
yeah. And it sucks too, because it's like, it's not supposed to be something of where we have to get used to it. You know, it shouldn't have to be that way, because whenever we think about it, you know, content creation on itself, I don't know about you, but I never thought in a million years that this could be a job that we could actually like play games for a living, you know, like it's so cool though, but it also comes with this territory of where people like demand content, demand this, demand that. It's like, unless you're paying me, don't demand anything.
For sure. And you know what? I can say you're completely right about all of that. But for me, I'm really happy that I can say that I have cultivated like a community that is really cool with waiting like a month or even 2 months for a video. Because thankfully, like, I've gained their trust enough that they understand that when it finally comes out, it's going to be like a huge thing. You know, like I always try to, like in the beginning, I tried to make videos more frequent, but they kept getting bigger and bigger. And, you know, like I noticed online, you know, whenever I would post a video, that it would kind of be like an event for my viewership, my community. So I was like, that's a great feeling. I love that feeling. I want it to be that every time now. So why not just do that? Like, why not just spend a month or two, rarely two, but a month or two just crafting like a perfect video for me, you know, that I know I'll be able to look back on in a couple of years and be like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's like a full-on production, you know, and it's such a cool feeling whenever you like put this baby out into the world and you're like, oh, I created that. That's so cool.
Yeah. And I still, you know, don't get me wrong. Like I just put out Dragon's Dogma 2 like impressions video, and that's like 20 minutes long. But that was again, still like, you know, it came from a place of honesty, like honest passion, you know, where I was playing it for like a week and a half and I loved it, and I still love it. I'm still playing it. Like, You know, I'm playing it on PC and PS5 now, like 2 different save files. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have time to like go crazy with this video, but I could go as crazy as I can in a couple of days, you know, and make this video in a few days, you know. So I like did this whole thing, like this on camera thing, you know, where I'm, you know, under a tree and all that. And it's like, I don't know, it's fun. It's just fun, you know.
As soon as I saw the Melania like helmet, I was like, nope, Elden Ring, I spot it.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. It was so interesting too, because it's like, this actually goes perfectly into like one of the topics I want to discuss, because people underneath that comment section, I want to slap all of them for the most part, because that was probably one of the most vitriolic comment sections I've seen under your videos in quite some time.
It was pretty wild. Yeah.
I just don't understand where people get the nerve, honestly, because even on Twitter, I saw people calling you a shill, doing all this. And I just want to say, by the way, I'm so sorry that you've had to experience that, because it's, you know, like I said, it shouldn't have to be a norm, but it actually is for some reason. I don't know why. But what was the entire thing that went on with this? Because I know MTX, you know, obviously they're bad, but was that it, or was there a bigger reason behind why you were getting so much backlash?
So I think, okay, so I'll start with this. My perspective on the game was Capcom emailed me and they were like, hey, do you want to cover the game? Like, and I was like, sure. And I'll let you guys in on a little secret. Whenever a company approaches you about covering a game and they offer you a code, you don't actually have to make a video about it. You could just take the code and run. Just be an outlaw. Just do it. Fuck it. So I was like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. And then they were like, okay, what do you want? Like, how many codes do you want? So I was like, I want a PC and a PS5 code, because like I had heard rumors and like, you know, talk online that the PS5 version was going to run unlocked frame rate. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, maybe it'll be like, you know, 40 frames, maybe 60 in some areas. Because frame rate is a huge thing that people talk about nowadays. So I was like, okay, well, on the off chance that I do make a video on this game, I'd like to have both versions as like a comparison point, you know, because I have a giant 4090 supercomputer over here. So I was like not really worried about it like running well. So from my personal experience, when I played the game, I played about 20 hours of the game on PS5, and the frame rate was pretty rocky in a lot of areas, but it was mostly 30, which was nice. My PC save file, perfect. 60 FPS everywhere, maybe minimal frame drops and in towns and all that. You know, it was a perfect experience. And I was like, okay, I'll record all my footage on this because I'm loving this. It looks great, runs great, feels great to play. Let's do it.
Oh, so I'll make a little... the review was the PC footage, not the PS5, because I know you had some PS5 footage in your video.
There is some, yeah, there's some PS5 footage, but yeah, most of it, like 95% of it is PC. 4090 maxed out every setting, all that. So that's my personal perspective, is like I had a great time playing this game. Not everybody has a 4090. Not everyone has even a PS5, you know, like they don't have that fallback in case, you know, they buy it on PC. Oh, it runs like dog shit. Let me refund it. Let me buy it somewhere else or something. So the general consensus day one was, oh my God, this game doesn't even work. You know, it's busted on PC, because that's what most people are going to play the game on, is PC. I think it's like Capcom's fastest selling PC game, I think. But even then, you know, like the PS5 and Xbox versions didn't run too well. So that was, I'm pretty sure that was everybody's like knee-jerk first like reaction to the game was, wow, this game is horrible. It runs terribly. You know, like it just doesn't even run for some people. And then the microtransactions were discovered. And that was day one, microtransactions. Because Capcom puts them in all their games, you know? But they usually wait a little bit. They usually wait like a week or a month, you know, to like implement these things. And I guess for this game, they were like, okay, here's all this stuff, like all this useless crap that you can buy, that you can earn within like the first 5 hours of the game, you know? So I believe that this whole controversy was just a perfect storm of, wow, the game is running horribly. Oh my God, microtransactions. So I feel like a lot of people who didn't even play the game, who don't care to play the game, who don't give a shit about RPGs or Dragon's Dogma or Capcom games, like they saw that and they jumped on it and they were like, you're a paid shill, you're excusing all of this stuff. I played a version of the game that didn't even have the store like option, you know? I played like a preview build of the game, you know? And then it got updated into the final version, you know, that had all that stuff. So from my perspective, I'm just playing a really great action RPG, and people, and that's the most fucked up thing is that like the first 2 days of that video's life, like all the comments were positive. Everybody was so hyped, like, oh, I can't wait to play the game. It looks so great. Oh my God. And then it just went downhill, you know, it just went straight into the trash and everyone's calling me a shill and all this kind of stuff. Thankfully, it's really calmed down. I kind of made it a point to, I don't know if you noticed, I think a lot of people noticed this, but I made it a point to actually stream the game for like a whole week.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because I want to show people what the game is, you know, because I feel like people they're not listening to what fans of this game are saying about it. Like they're just seeing the poor performance or seeing the microtransactions, and then they're going, this is a bad game because of those things. Like not even realizing that you don't need to do any of that. Like you don't need to have any microtransactions. And, you know, Capcom just put out an update that I think fixes performance. It definitely improves it on PS5, but I can't really speak to PC because I had a good playthrough the whole time, you know? Like,
see,
so.
That's what happened during Cyberpunk's release. Like I had an incredible time with the game when it first came out. I had like maybe 5 bugs.
Me too. Yeah.
Like that was it. Like I played on Series X when the game came out and everyone was like, oh, there's bugs here, there's bugs there. And it's just like I got called a shill for saying like, oh, yeah, this game was absolutely incredible. The story is something I've never really seen before. Like what's going on here with the hate? Yeah. Like, and it's so fast. Like, I'll be completely transparent with you guys. Like, I haven't gone into Dragon's Dogma 2 yet, so I'm not going to say, oh, this or that. I'm only going off of your review. So when I watch things on this game, I can only speak on, microtransactions are shitty. They shouldn't even be there, especially like for day one. Like, I don't know why Capcom put them in for day one, but it's neither here nor there. It's just one of those really weird things of where, you know, so many people got heat for it. You got heat for it. Fighting Cowboy did, ACG, and it's just like, why are you like as a for the community? Why is the community getting in an upheaval about something that potentially the content creators or reviewers did not know about at all?
We didn't know about it, and you know a lot. And the other thing is too, because like people were saying that, oh, the microtransactions were listed in the review embargo, you know. And one thing about making videos is you read that embargo at like last, you know, and if you don't like finish a game in time, like reading a review embargo is insane. It's so difficult because it's like, here is the end of the game. Here's how to achieve it if you need help. And it's like, I don't want to see that like at all, you know? So I literally like, I asked a friend, I was like, who also got the game early. I was like, hey, can you, who doesn't care about spoilers? Because I finished the game the day after my my video went out. Because it's a long game, you know? Like I was right at the end and I was like, well, I'll just put the video out and then I'll finish it tomorrow. Like that kind of thing, which I did. So I asked my friend, like at that point, like, hey, can you send me just like the restrictions, like what they don't want, you know, like a screenshot of that. And then he did that. And I was like, okay, I actually didn't like hit any of these restrictions. Like this is like, you know, I won't get asked to take the video down or something, you know, by Capcom. So I didn't even read it. I didn't read the review embargo. So I didn't know. I don't know. You know, like I didn't know.
It's so silly to me too, because it's just like, and I say this with just the, most love and respect for some community members who like to not pay attention to things. Please understand that there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes whenever we are reviewing a game. I can't speak for Susie's case, but I can speak for my own case. There's a lot of intricacies that go on. So if you guys are complaining about something that is happening, please understand that we're all doing the best that we can to get out the best review for you guys. So,
yeah.
You know?
And I don't know if you remember this, but there was actually an incident that I had with RE4 remake.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Yeah, where I also didn't read the embargo for that.
I remember that.
And I put out a 30-minute video that did not spoil anything in the game. I showed like the first 3 chapters, which was the first line of the embargo. Like, you can only show these chapters if you want to use your own footage, you know? I didn't see the line that said, please make this only 10 minutes long, which that really annoyed me on like a personal level, because I don't think that reviews should be time restricted, you know? And I know it's really funny too, because, you know, I'm a huge Capcom fan. Like, I have Capcom all around me. Like, they are my favorite company and they make my favorite games. But there are things that they do that I just like strongly disagree with, you know, like their really strict review guidelines. Like, it's like, well, okay guys, like, why can't we show like the first hour of the game? It's like, it's going to be everywhere. I don't know. And the microtransactions, you know, like the microtransactions I think are just terrible. Like, it's corporate greed, you know, like pushed to the max. I actually have like a tinfoil hat theory about Dragon's Dogma 2. So you haven't played it yet, but one of the microtransactions that they're selling is an item that lets you recreate your character's appearance, you know? So like if you messed up your height or something, like you can do that. When the game first came out and in the preview period, there were only 2 of those items in the entire game. And when I played it, I was like, well, that seems kind of unfair, but I guess that kind of goes against, like, that goes with like the really difficult, like old school nature of the game. Like, you know, you kind of have to use these wisely, you know, because your appearance like actually affects gameplay in certain cases, like the way your character looks. So I was like, okay, maybe that's what they're doing. Microtransactions come out. Oh, you could buy these with real money. And I was like, oh, I see. That's why they did that. But the first update they put out adds 99 of those items to the game, and they actually refresh every day. So like if you sleep in game, they get restocked. So so now I'm just thinking, like, did the dev team know about this? Like, did they not know about the microtransactions either? Because to me, that seems like they found out that Capcom, like, higher ups were like selling that as a microtransaction, and then they were like, oh no, like, just put 99 in, like, and it's basically an infinite supply, you know? That's my tinfoil hat theory. Like, because a lot of the time, like, the dev team doesn't know about this stuff. They don't make the decisions on what gets added as a microtransaction or even as a DLC, you know? So it's a bizarre situation all around. The game is great though. It's a great game. Like, when you get past all of that, like, it's so fun and so addictive. And I hope that people actually get to it at some point, you know?
I hope people realize that you don't necessarily, and this isn't like, you know, a diss to you or anything like that. It's more or less like people don't even have to rely on reviewers' opinions to make a concrete decision on whether or not to get a game. Get the game for yourself and understand that you are buying the game. You are choosing to put money into it. Like, I have a copy for Steam and Xbox Series X because I'm doing a comparative review for the mechanics. And it's so interesting to me that people are like, oh, wait to play it until the patches. It's like, no, I'm going to play it right now and I want to enjoy it. Like,
yeah, why not?
I don't understand. People are just like, oh, you should do this later. You should like, no, stop. You see this? This is your mouth. Stop it.
Yes, yeah, stop moving it. Like, no. Yeah, it's just it's so interesting. And that, you know, that was a big part of my Dragon's Dogma video, was that I didn't review the game. Like, it was really just like my impressions from playing it, you know? Like, I didn't want to definitively say like, go buy it or something, you know? Like, I have a line in there where I'm like, oh, if you like Elden Ring or Breath of the Wild, you might like this, you know, like that kind of thing. But by no means was that video like a review. So, and I think I don't know, I thought it was pretty obvious that it was just impressions. Like, you know, like if you see a Sphere Hunter video that is not like 30 minutes long, like don't even think it's a review, okay?
It's adorable because it's like your love for Capcom and Resident Evil is probably one of the biggest reasons why I subscribe to you on YouTube and on Twitter, because my very first game I ever played was the remake of the first game.
Oh, really? The
Yes.
best game ever? Oh my god.
Yes.
That's my favorite game.
It is nostalgia, it is beauty, it is grace, it's everything I love in a video game. And the fact that like my dad got it for me when I was, I think, 10 or 11 years old on the GameCube.
Yeah.
And he was like, I want to see how the graphics are. I'm like, lies. You just wanted to see the gory zombies. That was it.
Yeah.
And he brings it up to me and he's like, hey, I don't know what this is necessarily, but I know it's gaming. And I was young at the time, dealing with hospital appointments, all that kind of stuff, and I needed a distraction. So he was like, oh, okay, let's try this out. Let's see how it works. My mom was like, get her like a Barbie game or something. And he was like, no, this looks cooler. And we played it and we spent hours on it. And I will never forget that game. Like, it is just ingrained into my soul.
Yeah.
So I want to know what your thoughts are on that game possibly getting a remake, because we all know that it's possible. Like, that game is so ingrained into so much of what the core, I think, of a lot of Resident Evil fans are. So, I don't know, like, are you for a remake for that game? Because I know I'm a bit iffy on it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say that's amazing that you played it with your dad, because that's what I did as well. Like, I played that game with my dad, and then I don't know if you know this, but Resident Evil, I've said it in, like, other interviews, but it's like a family affair for me, like Resident Evil. It's like my brother got me the first 3 in 1999, and we played them in 1 year. So like we played them all back to back, and it was like a life-changing experience for me. But then when Remake came out, me and my dad played it, and he pretended to not be scared of it, but he was like scared shitless, like alongside me, because it's real. It's like so real looking, you know, especially for that time. And then RE0
Exactly.
I played with my mom. So
I love RE0 so much.
I just wanted to throw all that out there because that's amazing. There's something about the tri-state area and like Resident Evil, like families play it together. Like I know so many families that are like Resident Evil fans. It's weird. But yeah, oh my God. RE1 remake. I'm scared.
Remake of the remake of the remake.
I'm so scared. I'm nervous for a lot of different reasons. One of them kind of being that, okay, I'll put this out there too. If they remade Resident Evil 1 on the RE engine in first-person view with a VR option, I would be more in favor of that than an over-the-shoulder like game, you know, like RE2 remake. Yeah, because one of my dreams for my whole life was like, I want to be in the Spencer Mansion. And if they give me that, I'll be excited. I'll be happy. But I don't think they're going to do that because VR is really expensive. It's really, you know, costly. And I think the over-the-shoulder games just do the best for them. Like, so the idea of that really freaks me out because I'm just imagining like another Resident Evil 1 remake where like the hallways are really wide to like accommodate for the camera and like everything's like way bigger than it should be. And like I don't think Capcom can resist like making it an action game because like RE4 remake like did so well recently. So like I'm just like I'm very scared. I'm very scared of this idea and I don't know if I want it. I don't
Well,
think
the
I don't
thing
want
is,
it at
like-
all. I actually don't want it. It's not that I don't know. I don't want it. Unless it's first person. Like
I don't want it for reasons of where I think it's just so biased in my nostalgia for the game of where they did such an incredible job with the remake in and of itself that
Yeah.
it doesn't need any work. Same with RE0. Don't touch the thing.
yes, I agree. It is already like perfect the way it is. Like it does not need to exist again. Like it already exists. Like you can play it on basically everything, PC, Xboxes, you know, all of the PS4 versions and PS5. Like you don't really need, we don't need to do it again. Like it's okay. And I think something that a lot of people forget, including Capcom, is that the entire reason why we have the current remakes is because they re-released RE1 remake and it did so well, you know? Like that's the whole point for RE2 remake's existence, was they put that out to gauge interest in survival horror again, you know, because Resident Evil went off the deep end with you know, with RE6 and like the Revelations games like being more geared towards action. So I just, like, out of every remake, I feel like RE1 again is the most unnecessary. Like people were saying like RE4's remake was unnecessary, and then like I played it and I was like, wow, the story is like way better than the original. Like I think I like this more actually, but I don't see that happening with another RE1 remake. I don't know. I
completely agree. Yeah, because there has to be a point of where the only thing I want to see is some massive gazillionaire recreate the Spencer Mansion in real life.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
And the likelihood of that is very slim. So if you're going to remake the game, put it in first person. Like put it in, so we can live in that fantasy. Like
just a little bit of a moderation, because it's like when I was a kid, I would pretend with my friends that during Halloween we were in the Spencer Mansion and we would go ghost hunting and everything. And it's probably like, I don't think Capcom realizes the careers that they have made by those games.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
It's undeniable. And people give me so much shit for liking RE0, but it's one of the best Resident Evil games I've ever played because, let's just be honest, okay, Billy? Like, I'm a slut for Billy.
Billy is very cool, for sure. I definitely, you know, I have my issues with RE0 overall, but it's still a game that I replay, you know? And I don't know if you have tried this, but there's a mod that turns the typewriters into item boxes. Have you seen
I have
this?
not tried that. No.
It makes the game like a 10 out of 10. You're like, oh, wow, like I don't need to just drop everything on the floor. I could just put it all in my item box now. And it's like, it's almost like this should have just been there.
Oh my. Now I need to get it on PC.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. It's so good. I have it. I have not looked back ever since. I'm like, wow, RE0 is really great now.
God, you know, it's actually really cool though, because I was reminiscing a little bit before this podcast, and I looked at some of the old school like images and text from 1996 director's cut version. Number one, the in-scene actual IRL like versions of the actors doing that. It was why?
It's scary, I guess.
It's scary. Okay, no, I'm just
Look,
joking.
it's real people. Isn't that scary? Okay.
It's supposed to, they're acting. They look like they're so scared. They just look irritated.
Yeah, they just look irritated. And I think that's like the famous story, is that Jill's actress was very annoyed because there were like mosquitoes buzzing around everywhere. I think that's like a very famous story. Because I think they just shot it in like a field in Japan, like just some overgrown field.
No, you know what's actually really weird though is like the script writing for Resident Evil 1 director's cut is just top tier. You know, I mean that's one of my best memories with it, is just seeing like after I played the remake, I went into the original actually for the first time last year, and Barry said, "Watch out, Jill! There's monsters in this hallway." I'm like,
yeah,
Barry, like Jesus Christ.
You know what's funny? I played it pretty close to release back in the day in 99, and I vividly remember like me and my older brother like not you know, like all of that, like kind of like went over our heads because it was such a new experience, you know, like it was like, oh, we've never played a game like this before, like a survival horror game, you know. So it was like this revolutionary experience. But then when you like replay them like later on in life, you're like, wow, this is like terrible. Like the voice acting is so bad. Holy shit. You know? And even like, I feel like maybe even going from like RE1 to RE2, you're like, oh wow, that voice acting was really bad. Because RE2 has great voice acting. RE2 and 3 have really good voice acting. But yeah, it's a little bizarre. There's a lot of theories on like why the script is so bad, and like specifically like why the music is so bad. And a lot of it just comes down to like, you know, Japanese localization, like mistranslations, you know, like, because when you play remake, it's like, oh, that is literally the same line but written better.
Yeah.
You know, like
It is, yes.
like,
and the
like
music,
you were almost a Jill sandwich, and then you play the remake and it's like you would have fit nicely into a sandwich, and it's like, oh yeah, that means the same thing, but it is better. It's like better. It's better written, you know, like it's really funny how it works, you know, like
it really is. And like that's the same thing that goes along with Silent Hill 2, because when you see not the remake but the remaster that they put out on Xbox. Yeah, that was my first experience ever of Silent Hill 2, by the way.
Oh my god.
It was fascinating because when I did the playthrough of that on YouTube, people were like, this is awful. I'm like, I don't know what you mean. I'm having a great time with this because I didn't have anything to compare it to.
You didn't have that. Yeah, you didn't have the comparison point. Yeah, that's
it was so funny to me because like when I see James, then he just constantly looks like he's constipated. All the time God. When he's just like staring blankly in there, and I'm like, go to the bathroom, dude. Shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you see the remake now, and that's one thing I'm nervous about. I don't know about you, but I'm nervous for the remake of Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna play it because I'm just not really interested in it. Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm not the biggest fan of the dev team. I don't really like their games all that much. I don't like the way the trailers look. Even the first trailer was like really off-putting to me. I was like, "Ugh, this doesn't look too good," you know? So the back of my brain made the executive decision to just not even engage. Just don't engage, because I feel like that's a game where I think it's going to receive a lot of negative press and like negative reviews when it comes out. But I think also there will be fans of it. You know, there's fans of everything, of every game. And I think I just don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be a part of that conversation when it goes down. I'll just be observing, you know, from afar. I'll be over here, looking over there. Like,
you're going to be like Stella sitting all the way back in the backseat of the car and be like, you guys, just over here right now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pop out. Like,
what's interesting though is that like while I'm recently a new fan of Silent Hill, I'm intrigued to play it, but also I don't want to be upset. You know, because I had my issues with the medium whenever I thought on it, and I thought of things in retrospect, because when I first played the medium, I was like, this is a really cool and interesting take, and the idea is there. But I think a couple of years after that, I thought the way they're approaching mental health in the game, it was just off-putting to me. And I know Gene was talking about this as well, because it was just like the way in which mental health is approached in a video game is so important to me. And for me, as like someone back then who did not want to upset devs, who did not want to step on any toes, I was trying so hard to please people with my reviews. And then I thought on it like 2 years ago, and I was like, well, fuck.
It's difficult.
You know?
Yeah, it's difficult because also it kind of goes back to like being a content creator, like making videos. Like it can be hard to completely take in a game, you know, on your first playthrough, because you're playing it from this perspective of like, okay, well, I want to make a video on this. You know, I want to get a take out there. You know, I want to make sure people are informed about certain things. But when you have like a deadline and you're kind of crunching out a video, it's so difficult to see everything that a game is doing, you know, and have like a proper opinion about it, you know. And I think like there have been, going back to like RE3 remake, like that was definitely like a huge learning experience for me, where I was like, okay, maybe I should take more time to like, kind of like cook my ideas and like, not put out something that's half baked, just like people will be there, like the people who want to watch you will be there, no matter what. So I'll just wait and, I'll see what happens. But yeah, I could see how you could have fallen into that trap of like not really getting everything.
And yeah, it's the same with like Silent Hill 2, because it's like, do I want to play it? Yes. But do I want to review it and give people a genuine, like, not like, half, I don't know what even word to use for it, like, non-biased opinion? Yeah, absolutely. Because Silent Hill 2, like, for me personally, psychology is really important to me because I'm my degree in psychology. So I take it really seriously when it comes into games. And to see like James and to see like the way that he mistreated his wife and everything, I really hope that, the Blogger team take into account how serious and detrimental that is to someone's mental health, not only his wife's, but his
own.
And not a lot of people like understand like, like Pyramid Head and the entire psychological underpinnings that he even has. Masahiro Ito-san said that when he was creating it, that he doesn't want to disclose what's underneath the hood of any of Pyramid Head, because it would like kind of disrupt to a degree what people's thinking of it is. And I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Of course, yeah. It's I'm a little nervous about it. Like I'm nervous, like even though like I've kind of like stepped back from it, and I'm probably gonna just stay here. Like I'm not gonna engage. Like I'm still curious to see how it plays out. Like how Bloober team's like adaptation of these really heavy scenes, like heavy subject matter, like how that plays out. And I'm nervous. I'm really nervous. Like even like the stuff with Angela and like her brother and dad, like what happens with her is like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Eddie, like all the characters, like all of the characters are like on the table, like to have a bad interpretation, and that's like really scary to me. So
like, I just don't want it to get the RE3 treatment of where they cut out endings entirely. Because when I played through the game and I said, by the way, spoiler alert, just to want to put that out there.
Yeah,
spoilers. During the ending of RE3, I did not see Barry come in. I was like, they've just put in an entirely new fucking ending here. Like, this isn't how one of the endings, but that's what irritated me the most. And I felt like it was kind of a bastardized version of Resident Evil 3.
Yeah, pretty much. So you never know. They could just remake Silent Hill 2 and make In Water the default ending, like who knows?
At least, if they at least keep in, there's a hole here, but it's gone now. They need to keep that in. That's iconic.
Yeah. I feel like they may have shown that in a trailer, but I don't remember. No, I don't think they did. I think they showed something else that was written on the wall.
No, because it's just so funny. Like you say that, if no one knows what Silent Hill is, and you just say that to them, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're dirty."
Yeah, what are you talking about? Like what? It's like,
but
if you do say it to a Silent Hill fan, they'll like with no context, they'll get it. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're good. You're a good one."
That's like the password for Speakeasy. Oh, there's a hole here. Well, it's gone now.
And you have to say it into a hole, like.
Oh no!
With a man's face on the other side, like
who has like blood red on his eyes. You can enter now, sir.
Stay away.
One of the next questions I want to ask, it's more of a fun question. Yeah. If you, and this is something I started asking for my other podcast that I have for Souls and Souls-like games, it was something of where I want to. Okay, so you're having a pizza party, right? You can only invite Resident Evil characters. What characters are you inviting, and what pizza are you having?
So, unfortunately or fortunately, I only like plain pizza, like regular pizza, cheese pizza. But I would invite Jill, of course, because she's my favorite. I just think she's really cool, especially in recent iterations of her. I think her personality is really great. And Leon, of course, because he's also great. And I think it would be really funny to like see like an older Leon, like RE4 Leon, like just sulking while eating pizza. You know, I think that would be so great. Like, just like, I can't save anyone, but fuck it, I guess I'll just eat pizza. And Ashley, I think Ashley would be really great. I was gonna say, I mean, I would invite Ashley because she's gonna buy the fucking pizza. Like, we could have infinite pizza. She's the president's daughter. Like, whatever, you know. I was gonna say Ada, but I feel like Ada would be like really lame at a party. Like, I feel like she just wouldn't speak. She would give you half truths and just leave
like, well,
early.
I like this pizza.
You know?
You'll never know, though.
Yeah. Oh, do you like the pizza? I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't.
It's always something fun I want to ask because it like on the spot it shows people who's like their favorite characters and everything.
Those are my favorite characters. All of them. All the ones I just listed.
See, for me, I would have both a plain pizza so no one complains and broccoli and mushroom because that's my personal favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
good.
The characters I would invite Jill because, I mean, like, I actually, like, for a costume, I cut my hair just so I could do the costume for Jill Valentine.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that.
I would... Yeah, no, it's fun. It's also a dedication because then you have to wait, like, a fucking year and a half for your hair to grow back. But let's see, Jill would be obviously invited. Barry, because it's Barry. I love Barry. He's one of my favorites. I would invite Rebecca because she's a little firebird. I absolutely love her.
I love Rebecca. Yeah. She's great.
And one of the dogs because you can't go wrong with like, you know, a Doberman who's half zombie. So.
Oh yeah, I mean you could get you could invite Huey, the RE4 dog. Right?
Oh, Huey.
The one that you save. You could have him there. Yeah. I'm sure he would enjoy a nice little pizza.
Yeah. Oh,
Get him
I like
his
that.
own little personalized pizza with little doggy biscuits on it. Like, why not?
Oh my God. It would be so cute. Listen, there needs to be like a fandom picture of that now, like an art done. That would be so cute.
All I gotta do is just ask the internet, and I'm sure it'll happen. You know, like.
Oh gosh. But to go into our next topic, because this is the one I was most excited to discuss, is your creation of the character Stella. Now, when you were doing Stella, and your eyes just lit up. You were like, Stella? Yes.
There's so much lore, that I could tell you about.
So with Stella, what was the process? And, you know, as much as you can talk about it, I don't want you to have to breach like NDA or anything like that.
Yeah, sure.
But, you know, as much as you can discuss, whenever it comes to the character Stella, how did you end up getting that gig? What was it like going in and actually being the voice for that character?
Yeah. So after I made my original Cyberpunk video in 2020, I got a lot of email because it was a positive video. Like I criticized the game a lot, but I was mostly very positive about it because I'm a huge fan of the source material, the tabletop game, Cyberpunk 2013, 2020, like those versions of the game. So I was always going to like the game no matter what. Like, even if it was like literally unplayable, like I would still find a way to like get through the story so I could experience like what Johnny Silverhand goes through, because, you know, I love these characters, and like the idea of them being in like a AAA video game is like so insane to me. So like I was going to get through it anyway. But when I put out my video, it was positive. I was speaking very confidently and openly as a fan. That actually caught the attention of CDPR, you know, and I found out, you know, because I've been friends with a lot of CDPR employees for years at this point, like for 3, almost 4 years, and I found out that a lot of them are actually Resident Evil fans, you know, and would watch my videos, like even before Cyberpunk came out, you know. And the creative director, he's now, I think, just the second director of the next game coming out. This guy named Pavo Sasko. He he used to be quest director. Now he's creative director. So I got them mixed up. So he's literally just the guy that all the creative ideas go through now. I found out that he was a really big fan of me, but I think he was unaware that I was excited for Cyberpunk, you know? So he was really hyped when I put out my video, but he was really nervous about it because he was scared that I was gonna like trash the game or something. But he was really happy that it was positive. But he was one of he's one of the voices in like hiring me, like one of the guys that put the idea on the table, like, oh, maybe we should get Susie for this side character, you know? And you know, he reached out to me through other channels, like other people, you know, like on the PR side, and they just asked me like, hey, do you want to read for this character, you know? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I read for the character, and I had to wait like a month to get a response back, because that's how video games are. And it's like really scary, you know, because like I just did this audition, right? And I was like, oh, I didn't get it. Like, that's it. Like, it's whatever. It's water under the bridge.
Because they leave you in anxiety about it. It's just like, ugh.
And I stressed out about it for like a whole week. And then like the second week I was like, okay, it's over. Like, whatever. I have to keep living my life, you know, like. And then they got back to me and they were like, hey, you got it. Like, we want you to be in the game. So I was like, oh, so okay, cool. Awesome. And it's interesting because at first she didn't look like me. It was actually like a placeholder, like character model. And like just like generic female NPC, like, you know, like in that scene. And, you know, from through like, you know, one way or another, like they asked me, they were like, hey, do you want this character to look like you? And I was like, yeah, of course I want this character to look like me. And so we made that happen. And I did more like dialogue. There were more lines too, like more things said that got cut out for time and, you know, for the sake of the quest, because the quest is really funny, that quest. And there were some lines that were a little dark, like more depressing, that actually like went into her backstory a little bit. But they got cut out because they wanted it to just be silly. They just wanted it to be funny. And then the game came out, and that's basically how it all went down. But it was like a year and a half of, you know, working and then not working, and then hearing, oh, this got cut, and then me just going like, oh shit, like I lost it. Like they like it's just over, you know, like I don't have it. And then they come back to me and they're like, oh no, it's good. Like we're going to do it again, you know, like, so it was a lot of back and forth, you know, like, but it's there. It's in there.
That's one way to get gray hair really quickly.
I had a lot of gray hair. Yeah, I definitely did. I have to dye my hair.
It's so cool. It's so cool though, because it's like you got to be a part of one of your favorite worlds. And I can't imagine the feeling that must be going into that, of where like this is out. And like when I first went in and I played the quest, I was like, wait, hold on a fucking second. Was that Susie?
Yes.
And then I remember tagging you in a picture, and I was just like, I got her in like a good look, and she was just giving me like the stink eye.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
Thanks, Susie.
I think you that was when I discovered, I think you were the one that made me discover that, like, if you get out of the car and then do photo mode right away, like I'm still looking at you, so it's like, so it's just like yeah, oh my god. So yeah, that is definitely something that I felt, you know, very greatly, like being in the dark future, Night City, you know, Mike Pondsmith's world, which I've gotten the chance to speak with him at length, the guy that made Cyberpunk, like the whole thing, you know, and he's fantastic. But so before the game, I actually had a little involvement in the TV show in Edgerunners, which is my shirt that I'm wearing right now, my Edgerunners shirt. It was very minimal. If you've seen the music video for the show, Let You Down, it's It's about a character named Sasha Yakovleva, and that video was created by my really good friend Ilya Kuvshinov, who's a famous artist in Japan who does my profile pictures. We're just really great friends, and we were really big fans of Cyberpunk when it came out. Like, he was even, playing it and like fighting through all the bugs and all this kind of stuff and getting through it and enjoying it for what it was. And while it was out, like when it was first out, we were just talking like, how cool would it be to be like involved in this? Because Ilya works on Ghost in the Shell and is also like just really popular and has worked on so many different things. But we were both saying like how crazy it would be to like actually be involved with this IP, this franchise. And it was just like, a funny thing, like, haha, like this will never happen, like that kind of thing. And then Ilya came to me with an idea at some point that I can't talk about. But this idea was kind of like, oh, like, Susie, you have all these friends that work for CDPR. Like, why don't you just reach out to them about it? And I was like, that's a good idea. I will reach out to them about it. And so one thing leads to another. This music video happens, and that was really crazy. Like, just creating a bridge between this extremely huge company that just made one of my favorite games ever, like based on one of my favorite franchises, and my good friend Ilya, who like works on Ghost in the Shell, works on all this cyberpunk fiction, and just bringing them together, and that music video is the result of that, of me sending like 7,000 emails just being like, hi, I'm this and that and blah blah blah, and I my friend is blah 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 and yada yada, and yeah. Oh, we don't do that. You have to email this person. Oh, okay, I'll go email them. Hi, I'm this and that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we don't do that. Go email this person. Okay. And just that over and over again, like just trying to find the person, to be like, hello, here's a golden idea. Do you want it? We can make it happen. And then it happened. So that character, Sasha, is the main character of the music video for Edge Runners. She might be based on me. I'm not going to confirm or deny this theory that the internet has.
Looking right into the camera, quite possibly. No, I'm just joking.
But she is canonically related to Stella. They're sisters.
Interesting.
So that's the lore, and there's a lot going on there, and perhaps maybe some of that lore was in the game at one point and got cut out and moved somewhere else, repositioned.
That's really interesting, man. Yeah. I just lore just pleases me whenever it comes to games and lore. Like I just see it, and it's just hearing that just makes me happy.
It's been a wild ride, like just having that, and it's like such a little sliver of this giant cyberpunk universe, and it's just really nice. Like, it's really cool that I get to be a part of it in some tiny little way. I'm in the game for like 5 minutes. I have this thing in the anime, for 2 minutes or whatever. So it's just like it's really beautiful to me, because like everything, and this is like a testament to CDPR's like hard work on the IP, the cyberpunk IP, is that like everything that they put into it like has a really meaningful impact, and whether it's like in a narrative way or a meta way, like in my case, where it's like, holy shit, like I'm so grateful to be a part of this thing, even if it is like 5 minutes of screen time out of like 300 hours of gameplay, like.
Yeah.
So
no, that's incredible though.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how it all turned out and excited, and yeah.
Well, from an
That's Cyberpunk.
outsider's perspective, because, you know, I know that whenever you're working in it and you're in the midst of it, you know, the perception is different than someone who's looking in on from the outside. I can say that you did an absolutely incredible job with the part of Stella. You know?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And when I saw that, I was just like, you know, the acting, just everything, the way that you portrayed the character, I could tell that there was a lot of depth that you wanted to put into this character. So it definitely came across.
God. So when we first did it, that scene, it was about 4 hours of work for that, like 4 minutes of you know, screen time, because there were more lines and all this kind of stuff. But at first I was like really going for it, like really acting my heart out, because the subject matter is like, oh, my husband is like a corrupt cop and he's like trapped in a building filled with like gangsters, you know, and they're gonna kill him, like that kind of thing. So I was like really going for it, you know. And then they were like, well, that's not really what we want. We want it to be like kind of silly, you know. And I was like, how do you make this silly, you know? And through their direction, you know, I kind of got it, and we figured it out. But it was just really funny, because I completely, like, I got the sides, like the script, you know, and I was like rereading all the lines like a million times, like before the session even started, and I was like, I'm gonna do this way and do that way. All wrong, all completely wrong, not the vibe that they wanted. And it turned out I think it turned out really good, but it's just really funny.
It turned out to be like sarcastic yet deep.
Yeah.
You know?
So like, yeah, and I'm glad you're saying that. Good. That's what we wanted. But
yeah,
at first
like,
I was just like going off. I was like going insane.
You could tell that her character has been through some shit, though. That's the thing. Like, you know, because when I was playing the game for the first time, and like, again, spoilers, just by happenstance, if you guys have not played Cyberpunk 2077, go play it, please. It's a fucking incredible game.
It is.
It's one of those things of where having like the Save Your Soul program embedded into this is something I've never seen within an IP that they actually did, of where like you can save your soul on a hard drive and transfer it out. Because the first ending that I got was her in the Arasaka program doing the Save Your Soul program. I was like,
that is
literally like, gaming just changed the way storytelling is done entirely.
Yeah, that ending is really upsetting too. It's just like, oh God, this is so depressing. What the fuck?
It really is. It's just like, okay, I sell my soul. And that was the first time we see her in third person, you know, see whichever character you are. But it's just like, that was in third person, and it made it that much more meaningful, I think. And the music at the end of her, like, you know, for me, like the female V just singing at the end, it was like, oh no, don't break my heart, please.
Sorry, your heart's going to be broken. And I feel like that's like every ending is like... It's like, we're gonna break your heart. Yeah. It's like, okay, this is the happiest.
It's like Final Fantasy.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I'm so happy to be a part of the cyberpunk world. And there's like a lot of lore surrounding those two characters that's like not in the game. But you know, maybe someday we'll get to explore more of those characters, even though one of them is dead. But we'll see. You know, you just talked about secure your soul, right? So
yeah, exactly. You know, there's always a possibility.
Yeah. Sasha
it's like the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah. Not the Vampire Diaries. Oh my God.
It's so cheesy, but it's so good. Like, oh my goodness God. Gracious.
Stella. Who knows?
Yeah. No, but the other game that I wanted to talk to you about, because I know that this was a new thing for me, right? Because I'll say right now, and people already get mad at me for saying this, but Alan Wake 1 was not my favorite. Oh, yeah. I did not like it whatsoever, but Alan Wake 2, it was incredible.
It's a great game.
And I wanted to know what it was like for you playing that game, because I know you, like, just like myself, you are a like survival horror enthusiast. I feel like this one actually takes survival horror back to its roots.
Yeah. So I'm going to speak very carefully here, because I will make a video about this game in the near future. So I don't want to say all of my takes on it here. I want to save it. But spoilers, I do love it. and I think that it is a fantastic survival horror game. And it's one of those games where you play it and it just like everything clicks into place in your mind. Well, for me personally, everything clicked into place in my mind where I was like, there's no reason why the first game couldn't be this, you know? Like, it should have been this, like a traditional survival horror game, slow-paced, limited ammo, limited resources. You have to play carefully, you know? Or else you're gonna get killed in, like, a few hits, you know? I love Remedy games so much. I have played them all, you know, at release. I'm very proud of them. I think what they have made is something really special. It captures classic survival horror in such an amazing, accurate way, while also just being an insane video game. Like, you know, having these like on-camera live action TV show scenes and, you know, like moments of levity and humor that would feel so out of place in any other game, but somehow it all works in this game, you know?
That's how I felt with the musical section, because when I played through that, I was like, how is this blending so perfectly together? That was the best part for me personally. That was the best part of the video game.
And it feels like, you know, because we were talking about like the bad voice acting in original RE1, it almost captures that same vibe of like, oh, this is all like terrifying and scary. What did I just hear? What did I just see? You know, like that was hilarious, you know, like that kind of thing. But it's doing it like intentionally, you know, it's not like it's not an unintentional moment of levity. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to capture like every single aspect of classic survival horror, the goofy stuff included, you know? And I feel like they nailed it. They really nailed it. So
yeah, I mean, big shout out to Sam Lake. Honestly, like the way that that guy's mind works, like he's one person I would just love to be able to sit down and have a conversation with at depth and just talk about the psychology behind Alan Wake, because there's so much in there. Even like when you ever see, again, spoiler, because this is just going to be like filled with spoilers at this point for this podcast. But whenever you like see how depression and anxiety are portrayed through Alan Wake's wife at the very end, like that was just miraculous the way that they pulled that off so respectfully.
Yeah, they did an amazing job with it. And I think also even just with Alan's journey, you know, he's been basically trapped in hell for 13 years. And when you play through Alan Wake 2 and you're like you get to the musical part and it's so goofy and it's so silly and it comes out of nowhere, it makes so much sense. Like it existing in that game the way it does makes so much sense, because it's like, this guy has gone through like 13 years of hell, like basically looping and restarting his life over and over again to try to escape. It's like, this dude needs a break. Like he needs this moment of levity and escalation and like inspiration, you know, like I am the champion of light and I will get out of here, you know, like I'm going to make a unhinged musical about myself, about how cool I am, to like fire myself up to escape, you know, like that. Like it's just so like, it's a very, very interesting view of mental health, Alan Wake 2, and a lot could be said about Saga's journey as well, you know, with spoilers, her final like case board, you know, like when it's like the dark version of herself, like, you know, putting like this false evidence, like these lies, these like insecurities onto the board instead.
It's just,
you know,
incredible writing, though. That's the thing. Like
it is.
All of the case boards that you see and you encounter, it's just a steady flow. And I feel like Remedy does such a good job at the slow buildup of a game. And mind you, like these stories are so difficult to actually like concoct and make, and like the catalyst for each section of each part that you have to go into, it's absolutely miraculous what they've been able to pull off.
Yeah, and that's why I say I'm so proud of them. I have a few friends that work at Remedy, Sam Lake being one of them. And I've heard things, you know, on the inside, just like what it took to make this game was nothing short of a miracle, you know? So it was a lot for sure to get that game out. And my next video is about Alan Wake 1, and there might be a cameo from a certain writer in it. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
That's exciting. Yeah, no, that's so cool. And it's so, I can't wait to see it, because there's going to be so much comparison that is going to be done with Alan Wake 1 versus Alan Wake 2, because for me personally, when I played through the first Alan Wake game, I thought there was too much reliance personally on Stephen King as a trope, and just relying very heavily on that narrative. And I thought, okay, you know, the humor... Yeah, the humor in this game is pretty cool, and it's well balanced out. But there were certain things, like some of the mechanics and everything, and they flushed out so much in the second game when it comes to accessibility, and just the mechanics alone were just so much better.
It's a much better game, yeah. I think Alan Wake 1 has an amazing narrative. Like, the story is great, but like playing it is clunky. You know, it feels very much like a game from 2012, you know? You're just like, oh, when you play Alan Wake 1 and then you play 2 right after it, it's like, in Alan Wake 1, it's like, oh, I have to get from point A to point B. How am I going to do that? I'm going to fight like 100 enemies to get there. And then you play Alan Wake 2 and it's like, I have to get to point A to point B. How do I do that? I'm going to go through like a beautifully crafted survival horror level that has like so much gameplay variety and like things that I could never even imagine, you know, like doing in a video game. And it's like, it's a very night and day like experience, like playing.
It really is. Like, even when I was in that section of where you just see like all the blood on the door dripping down and everything, it so reminded me of the first Evil Within game. Like, I was
the hotel. Heaven. It's very, it's pretty similar. Yeah, it's pretty similar for sure. So but
there's just so many games that are currently coming out right now. I mean, last October alone, I felt like it left such an imprint on all of us, because there was Alan Wake 2, there was Spider-Man 2, there was so many reviews coming out, so many different things. And now I feel like it's the same thing with this month, because we had Dragon's Dogma 2, we had Alone in the Dark, which I've been seeing very little press on, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I haven't really been looking into it. I have heard that it's better than what reviews have said about it from like friends that I trust, but right now I'm not too interested in playing it. I think I'll check it out later though. Like, it just kind of seems like it needs a little bit more work, maybe updates here and there. I haven't watched any reviews on it just because I want to like go in without any sort of like preconceived notion about the game, you know. So
yeah, makes sense.
We'll see.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I got a physical copy for the game because I'm going to be reviewing it. So whenever it goes into like the topic of survival horror, this is actually one of the last topics that we're going to be getting into. Yeah. What are some survival horror games that you think people need to check out who would like are massive survival horror fans? Like, if you're a fan of survival horror, you would love this.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see it back there. It's like, it's right next to the Alan Wake book.
Oh, yeah.
This game right here, it's called Signalis. If you have heard of this game. Signalis is a life-changing experience for me. I consider it one of my favorite games, and it's, you know, like of all time. And that's, you know, it's interesting because all of my favorite games are like PS2, PS1 games, you know, so like a PS4 PC game coming out in the modern day, like hitting me like that hard, like, and becoming one of my favorite games is very rare. But Signalis is pure survival horror. Like, it's hardcore. There's very minimal hand holding. The puzzles are actually like extremely well designed. The story is amazing. It goes places that I wasn't expecting, but were so like real and true to me. Like, it's not scared of you know, approaching pretty dark subject matter, and it handles it all so well. You know, like if you want to talk about like portrayals of mental health in stories, like that game does it perfectly, I feel. So yeah, Signalis is great. Other survival horror games that I would recommend. I love Haunting Ground. Haunting Ground is fantastic. It's like a PS2 game. It was supposed to be Clock Tower 4, but Clock Tower 3 didn't sell well, so Capcom just like changed the whole IP of it. It's a game where you play as a girl who's trapped in a castle, and she has a dog as her only line of defense. So you have to like take care of the dog and like give him treats and like pet him and all this kind of stuff. So he like effectively helps you against the enemies, like that kind of thing, because you can't fight back. But it's one of my favorite horror games, and I think it's really, really good for what it's doing. But it is really expensive. It's a very rare game. It's not like Rule of Rose rare, but it's still rare. Like you'll find copies for it for like $100 to $200. But you could always emulate it, you know, if you have a PS2
That's
emulator.
true. See, that's what I did with Silent Hill 1. I emulated on the PC through DuckStation with the saving grace. So
Yeah, and I think that's a shame that game is not available like on PS5, like to download. I think you could still get it on PS3 downloading, but I don't think many people have PS3s anymore, so...
Unless you're like a hardcore collector of like physicals and like older games and everything.
Me.
Yeah. Yeah, same. It's just like that's one of my goals is to get Silent Hill 1 and the PS1 and just play it old school style.
Yeah. I recommend it. Play it on a CRT TV as well, because that would be really it makes the experience a lot better. Here, I'm gonna open my shelf and like look at my games up here just to see like other survival horror games. Oh, Galarians is a good one. Galarians.
Oh, I never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's kind of like a unknown kind of game. It's a PS1 game where you play as a psychic child who is trapped in like a facility, very like Akira aesthetic. But the enemies are humans, are just like regular people, and they're trying to keep you from escaping. But you are basically like using your mind to like light them on fire and like throw them around and like shoot energy waves at them. So it's like, it's a survival horror game where you are the monster. If that makes sense.
That is actually pretty gnarly. I like that concept.
Yeah, and I personally think it's good. It has a lot of rough edges, and a lot of the design is pretty obtuse, like how to solve like certain puzzles. Because you're a psychic, you can actually see into the past. So there are moments where you literally like have to like basically rub up against like every surface in the game and like press a certain button to see like what happened here, like in that moment in the past, to like figure out how to like open a door, like that kind of thing, you know? So it's a little stressful. It's a little obtuse. There's a lot of friction, you know, with the design, but it is a great game. It's very unique, I feel. So I don't know. That was like what, three survival horror games?
I think so, yeah.
There's so many. Yeah. I've played so many survival horror games.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a few that I would recommend that it really honestly hit the vibe of what a survival horror game is. Like, you know, Tormented Souls, one of them. That was absolutely incredible. That was such a nod to Silent Hill 3 and classic like save points in Resident Evil. Remothered Tormented Fathers. That was an interesting one to go through.
I didn't finish that game, but I do own it. I didn't finish it though. I think something else came up in my life where I was like, okay, I'll get back to this later, and then I just didn't.
It's an interesting one because it's like when you go into the beginning, like you're just sneaking and you're going around kind of like how you would in a typical horror game, which I love the vibe of anyway. Let's see. I mean, I'm not going to recommend Resident Evil because everyone knows they should do Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm looking at like some of like the O's I have just to see. What other ones? I mean, honestly, I would recommend Silent Hill 4 The Room just because of how much it connects to Death Stranding.
Oh, that's interesting.
To a
That's an
degree,
interesting
because
point of
you have the umbilical cord in the what is it, in The Room in Silent Hill 4. Same thing
Yeah.
goes for Death Stranding. He used the same concept in
Interesting.
there,
Yeah.
and I
I
thought, oh
never
wait a
thought about
sec,
that.
yeah, it's really unique the way the story is blended
Yeah.
before you left and created his own studio. Because if you notice, every concept in the Silent Hill game has to do about dying and rebirth, and it's the same thing in Death Stranding.
For sure. Yeah. There's a lot
Yeah.
of that in Death
Yeah.
Stranding. For
So
sure.
like that's what I would highly recommend because it gets really creepy, Silent Hill form, but it's
Silent Hill 4,
so
yeah.
yeah. There's just like one memed section that I'll never forget about like in order to open one of the doors, you have to give one of the characters a chocolate milk, and anytime that you're going and collecting items and bringing it back, he's still drinking that chocolate milk. I'm like, damn, it's the eternal fountain of youth over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Infinite chalky milk. Yeah. I wish I
It's
had
great.
that.
And I need that. In
Honestly,
life.
I would almost say that Death Stranding is kind of a survival horror game in a way, because there's so much resource management and like so much careful preparation that goes into it. Like if you go through a BT zone, it's like a nightmare, you know? It's like I gotta be real careful and sneak around. I don't want to wake up the monsters. Like
See, that's one game I'm so excited for. My soul is so ready for Death Stranding 2. I'm ready for that.
Same. I'm friends with the composer of those games, Ludwig, and I I was like, when the trailer for the second game dropped, I was like, I DM'd him immediately, and I was like, did they like tell you to go insane in this, like for this soundtrack? And he was like, I always go insane. He's like, but yeah, like they told me to go insane, and I was like, okay, good. I'm excited.
I just love how in the trailer, like the guy's just rocking out with like a fetus, and it's just like old school, like classic rock, and I'm just like, that is
Very,
incredible.
yeah, it's slightly disturbing, but
I mean, more disturbing the better, right?
yes, I agree. I agree.
One of the last questions I want to go into, and it's something that you touched on before with Silent Hill, because I know you said that you weren't going to be going into a review for that game. Is there
Yeah.
any game at any point that you would be like, no, reject a key, or just not want to do review at all?
Probably Silent Hill 2 remake, honestly. Like I just like, there have been a few games recently where I just didn't accept any codes or anything. Not because I disliked the game or anything, but just because I was like, I don't even want to think about covering a game right now, that kind of thing. Like, because I was working on like something bigger for like a classic game like Onimusha or something. Like I got so many codes for other games, and I was just like, no. Later, I'll do these later. I'll just buy the game or something, or just ask someone, like ask this person later in life. Just be like, hi, do you still work for this company? Like, can I get a code?
Yeah, but on the flip side, though, like, what company would you like, if they were to come up with a new game like tomorrow, what company would you instantly accept a key from and be like, yes, I'll review this right now?
Basically whatever Remedy makes, or like CDPR. Like, if CDPR came up with like a new IP and they were like, oh, here's a key for it, I'll be like, yeah, okay, great, let's do it. And of course Capcom, like I think I'm a little like PTSD about covering Capcom games, because I feel like something always goes wrong, it's like, oh, it's a controversy that I'm not involved in, or I have to take my review down or something, like that kind of thing. So
I felt so bad whenever you had to do that for Resident Evil 4. I was like, oh no.
I was so annoyed, but it was fine. Like it went back up and it got its views, so I was happy about that. But yeah, believe me, there have been plenty of talks behind the scenes of like, you guys need to, like, if you're gonna put restrictions, like, you gotta loosen the grip around the neck of the reviewer, okay? Like, it's not that serious, all right? Just let us talk about your games. They're good games. They're good. Like,
but Susie, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for dropping by.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is the first interview that I've done this year. It's been a while since I've done something like this, so it's fun. It's fun to sort of get out there more and talk to cool people and do all kinds of stuff. So yeah,
it's really fun. Yeah, of course. It's really fun to talk with like-minded people about horror, about just, the industry in general. It's really fun to have those conversations. But you guys, if you like her stuff, you like what she does, please be sure to hit her up with a subscribe because she does awesome content. Her stuff will be linked in the username and the title of this video. But if you guys like our faces and what we do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below. I make videos every weekday here on YouTube. May you find your worth in the waking world, dear hunter. Stay casually nerdy. Now I'll see you all in the next video. Umbasa.